Welcome to Berg Mountain University's 9th consideration of our course on the benefit of leisure time, where discussing art as proof of sovereignty, we bring up moccasins, war bonnets, and dreamcatchers as examples of such art. Come along with us.
8th consideration. The benefit of leisure time. As we advance in society to produce and provide all the luxuries society makes us think we ought, there is no way may live without others. As jacks of all trades are masters of none, those who master in hunting did more hunting than those mastering in fishing, cooking, or even farming. With maturity, man tends to focus energy on what their community needs that they can provide, where studying a culture's practicality, we mustn't underestimate the importance of art. Tied to communities, markets are formed where what one doesn't specialize in may be bought or bartered, but art is what is in us that comes out as an attribute of and on things acquired. Anyone with common sense could see natives as no different from other humans who with the benefit of leisure time produce art. We all want the best, where in a different community, culture and tradition encourage Americans to be presidents and natives to be chiefs. Society, whether English or native, provides things good, better, and best, where in leisure time we find the opportunity to make things good better, and those better best with art. Some say art is law and others think it sovereign because the autonomy allow artists is unrestricted but bound by its medium. Many may never comprehend sovereignty, because they might not have the benefit of leisure time and the peace of a community detached from war. Flying blind and without a scale, native artwork made settlers and English alike respect natives all the more. Of the innumerous items natives produced, moccasins, war bonnets, and dreamcatchers are prime examples of native items that help define culture and prove sovereign administration.
English call them shoes, but with over 300 different native languages, the term moccasin is from the Algonquin language, where the simple design was decorated with art. Today we compare prices, styles, and designers, new and old, but anthropologists wouldn't see natives until after extinction was considered as valuable to American heritage as the longevity of the bald eagle. The longevity of indigenous people of any land ought to be a priority. We have to understand that English claimed land in proximity to cities or towns, and most land claimed is still untouched. Pockets of life within the wilderness where perimeters were guarded, relatively few natives walked through towns where women, children, and elderly whites lived in peace. As the first encounter causes eyes to meet, we see in them they are civilized, but how so can only be determined by the care and attention one affords his feet. Why? Well, because natives had a standard of living too, where a fresh pair of moccasins was all a soldier needed sometimes, as there was much more hunting and marching than fighting. Made from one piece of deer hide and hand sewn, we can't call natives savages because their women folk generally crafted and decorated them, so much so that when surveying natives, English knew natives had someone at home who cared about them. The moccasin's design survives today in penny loafers or any similar loafer, and even Ugg boots.
The war bonnet as a benefit of leisure time defines native cultures and proves their light of sovereignty. As it is natural to decorate those more senior and experienced with badges of honor, native headdresses were worn by those male amongst a tribe whose respect earned is demanded wearing one. We have to think, because native kingdoms' kings had absolutely no preference to harm refugees from another land trying to live in this land. It is just that with time, progress, and prosperity, man tends to disregard the past to promote himself and what he has created in the present. As man's next thoughts after prosperity are either charity or tyranny, natives, we must remember, were defending their land, having already proved charitable to refugees. English, trying to expand an empire, needed space, raw materials, and a new market outside of Europe. We have to understand that, when Europeans first saw war bonnets in battle, it wasn't their debut, but like a wise 7x7 imperial bull elk, years in the making and rarely seen. This headgear is more than a decorative hat, as each feather in a war bonnet theoretically represents the valor of a great man, the history of a regal people, and a hope for future achievement. Eagle feathers were historically given to warriors who were first to engage an enemy and return after battle, unscathed. With many native kingdoms, eagle feathers being earned or given in recognition of beneficial or courageous acts gave encouragement to younger generations to achieve. When war bonnets were worn in ceremony or battle, those younger were that much closer to their glass ceilings. Due to the importance of them in native culture, the native community sees wearing them by those without permission from tribal leaders as an affront which may be better not done.
Dreamcatchers also represent native art. Hand-woven webs or nets on willow loops decorated with symbolic items such as beads or feathers have a beauty in and of themselves. Hung over beds and cradles as charms of protection for infants, they were adopted by the Pan-Indian movement during the 60s and 70s as a symbol representing native heritage. An Ojibwe legend has it the protection of children and people of the land was done so by a spider woman known as Azabikashi. The spread of the Ojibwe nation throughout North America would prove difficult for Azabikashi, where to assist her were mothers and grandmothers who weaved them for a future yet to come. Not necessarily connected with dreams, the charm is apotropaic, where what we call magic, they would have termed belief. The term dreamcatcher derived from non-native media of the 70s. Colorfully decorated then. They are fewer so now.
In judging native civility, art is proof that there is a light of sovereignty, where moccasins, war bonnets, and dreamcatchers are products of leisure. There was art in all native crafts that not only defined cultures but were typical of how man in kingdoms we call nations expressed themselves. What else is sovereign than how we see the world and providing what may better communities in one's own special way? But natives were most feared for their intricate art, as it meant however few were backed by many similar.
That's all the information we have in this consideration. The hashtag land off tomorrow, a light of sovereignty. Next week we will discuss the ninth consideration and native theory and plans for tomorrow. Thank you for your time and consideration.